Hi, I'm Macy from the Charleston County Public Library, and thanks for watching this virtual program. September is Library Card Sign-Up Month, and your Charleston County Library card is the key to a wealth of information and resources for free. Of course, we have tons of books. We also have movies, telescopes, museum passes, and gaming tablets for kids. And your library card gives you access to tons of digital content, like ebooks, audiobooks, music, and magazine subscriptions, plus access to databases for professional development, learning a new language, and genealogy research. Your library card is available for free if you live in Charleston County. Just stop by your neighborhood branch with your proof of address and your ID. For more information, visit ccpl.org.
Hello and welcome to today's technology class. My name is Jessica, and today we're going to be talking about saving and organizing files on your computer. We will go over creating new files and the difference between save and save as when you're first creating a file. We'll look at the different locations on your computer where you can save files to, and the file storage window, which is where you would go to find those different files once they're saved. We'll look at renaming a file if you change your mind and you want to give it a different name, maybe something more specific than you first named it so it's easier to find later. We'll talk about creating new folders and nesting those folders so you can create a folder within a folder within a folder to keep things organized. We'll also talk about moving and copying files. So if you decide that you want to put a file in a different folder than you had originally put it into, how to move that over. And copying files and folders comes in handy when you want to back your files up. So putting an extra copy of those files on a flash drive or an external hard drive, just in case your computer fails and you need to retrieve those files. Having a backup is a great idea. Always having those files in a couple different places. So we'll look at how to copy those files and folders. And we'll also talk about deleting files and folders once you no longer need them. We'll look at how to permanently delete them from the computer or the flash drive. All right, so let's get started with saving and organizing those files. The first thing I'm going to do is create a new blank document. I'll do that by going to the Start menu, going into Word, and then clicking on Blank Document. And I'll just do a little bit of typing on this document. It's a good idea to go ahead and save before you get too far into your document. So I'm going to come up to the File tab. Here on the File tab, we see we have the option for Save and Save As. Since this is the very first time that I'm going to be saving this document, I do want to Save As to tell the computer where you want to save it and what you want to name it. We're going to click on Save As. And then Browse will give you a list of all the different locations where you can save files on your computer. I'm going to save it to our desktop. Right now I see in the file path here it is saving it to this computer, but in the Documents folder. To get it to switch over to desktop, I just click here on the left. And I can change the file name. It takes a guess based on the first line of your document, but I'm going to change that just a little bit. And it is going to save it as a Word document, which is exactly what we want. But you also have the option to save it down to a previous version of Word or to a PDF. But we're going to keep it as a Word document. And then I'm going to click on Save. So now back here on our document, I do see at the very top on our title bar, it now has that new file name. I'm going to close this for now. And then I see I did save it on the desktop, so it's right here. And when you point to the icon for this document, you'll see a few things about it. You'll see the type, the file size, and the date modified. Right now it says it's 11.5 kilobytes. And just to quickly go over these different file sizes, it starts with the very smallest little bit of information, which is called a byte. 1,000 bytes makes a kilobyte, which we see here we've got 11.5 kilobytes. It goes from there. About 1,000 kilobytes is going to be a megabyte, and then 1,000 megabytes is a gigabyte. 1,000 gigabytes makes a terabyte. You'll see these file sizes when you go to buy a new computer, and it talks about the hard drive space. That's what these numbers are for, how much space is available to save things or how much space a file itself takes up on that computer. We're going to go back into our document here. So I'm going to double click on it to open it back up. I do want to change a couple of things. So I'm going to add a couple more things to our list, and then I'm going to try to close it. It does come up with an alert here because I haven't saved my changes, and it asks me if I want to save those. So I've got a few options here. If I click on save, it will save those last 2 lines that I typed in, and it will close the document. If I click on don't save, it will not save those last 2 lines, but it'll still close the document. So I lose that last little bit of typing that I put in there. Or I could cancel, and that would take us right back to the document without closing it or anything. It's a good idea, instead of waiting until you close to save things, to just go ahead and periodically update your save. So up in the very top left corner, you'll see a floppy disk icon. So that is our save icon. I'm going to click that just to update our save, and it's a good idea, again, to do that periodically while you're working on a document. Now that we've saved, I'm going to try closing again, and since it is all saved, it closes without asking that question. That file is complete for now. I do want to create another list, which is going to be pretty similar, so I can start from this document itself, which we will do. Then I can make the necessary changes to this document. And then instead of doing the save icon here, to make a copy of it, all I need to do is go back to the File tab and choose Save As, telling the computer to create a new document again. So we're going to browse. And I do want to put this on the desktop, which it guesses because that's the last place we save to. Change this file name because it's going to be a different file. It won't let me have the same file name. And then I'll click on Save. You notice on the title bar that the new name is up here. Now if I close this file, we see 2 different files here. So the first one we saved, and then we saved as to create a second copy, but with a little bit of changes. So this comes in handy if you are typing maybe thank you letters or something like that, and you want to make them personalized, so you can put different names into the standard template, but you can save different copies for each person. We don't want to save everything onto the desktop because it can get crowded pretty fast. So let's look at our File Explorer, which is the yellow folder down here on the taskbar. And this shows us the other places on the computer where we can save files. A lot of times you would want to save files into the Documents folder, for instance. So let's take a look in the Documents folder there. We've got several files saved here in our Documents folder. You'll see on the left-hand side, we will always have that navigation pane that allows us to quickly go between the different locations on the computer. You can add other panes as well. If you go up to the ribbon here, I'm going to double click on Home to expand the ribbon, and these commands up here come in pretty handy. In the View tab of the ribbon, I can open the Details pane, which gives me details about the location we're at or the file that we've clicked on. I also have a Preview pane that I can use. If I want to quickly see what a file looks like without having to open it, I can use that Preview pane or use the Details pane to just get some quick details about it. Right now our files are displayed in Details Layout, so that means we have several details about the file listed here. We can change that layout to medium icons or large icons or whatever works best for us. You can also sort these columns. So if I want it to be sorted by name, I would click on Name, and then it's sorted. Folders come first at the very top, and then underneath that are individual files. If I wanted to sort by another parameter, I could click on Date Modified, for instance, to have my most recent files up at the top to help me get back into something that I was recently working on. We see here as well the type of document it is, and you'll also get a clue for that by the little icon here on the left-hand side of the file name. You can even use the type column to find specific file types. So if I click on the down arrow beside that type column, I can narrow it down to just Microsoft Word documents. If I know that I'm looking for specifically a Word document, And then to go back to the full list of files, I would uncheck that box again. You also have the option to search within documents. So I can search for a specific word, and this word may be contained in the title of the document, as we see in this first line here, or in the text within the document, which is the case for the second file that has shown up here in our search results. I'm going to close the search to get out of that and go back to our list of files. And just to show you quickly, if we change the view to, for instance, medium icons, you still can change the sort order. Right here beside layout, we have the option to, again, sort by name or date modified or any other parameter, either ascending or descending. We can rename files if we want to be more specific. Right here I've got 2 cookies recipes, but I want to label those for what specific type of cookie they are. So I'm going to do the preview pane just to see what these are. The first one is oatmeal cookies. So I can go to the Home tab on the ribbon here, and I see the option to rename there. I'll click on that and call this oatmeal cookies. Enter to seal that name in. The second cookies recipe is for sugar cookies. We'll practice renaming that a different way. So I can right click on the file, and I see here in the menu the option to rename. And again, press enter to seal that name in. You can also click directly on a file name, pause, and click again to go straight into that edit mode to rename the file. If this happens accidentally, as it sometimes does, you can always just click away in some empty space to get out of edit mode. We can create new folders to more easily organize our files. To create a new folder, up on the Home tab, I can click on New Folder, and it takes me right to edit mode to name that folder, and I'll enter to seal that name in. So now that we've got our recipes folder, I'm going to move those recipes into that folder by checking the box for each of them, clicking and dragging on one, and you'll see the number of total recipes or files that we're moving. Once you see that screen tip that says Move to Recipes, we can let go of the mouse. And going into that folder, we see all those files have been moved there. You can even create a new folder within this folder. Before we went up to New Folder, but you can just right-click on some blank space in here, go down to New, and choose Folder, another way to create a folder there. And now to quickly move all of these files into that new folder, I'm going to check the box up here by the name column, then uncheck the new folder box, and then just drag those up until I see the Move To, and then let go. And now those are nested within the Documents folder, in the Recipes folder, and then lastly into the Desserts folder. We can get out of this. You can click on Recipes to get back to that main Recipes folder. You can use the up arrow to go up to Documents, or the back arrow to go back to the previous location we were in, which was Desserts. And we can move our grocery list into here as well by clicking the checkbox on both of those, clicking and dragging them over to our Recipes folder. Now they are in our Recipes folder in Documents instead of on the desktop. If we change our mind, we can always move them back to the desktop by clicking and dragging again and letting go. Now we're going to practice copying files and folders to a flash drive to make a backup of those files and folders. If we scroll down on the navigation pane here, we see that I've got that USB drive, which is my flash drive, showing up now because I've got it plugged into the computer. I'll click on that. Right now it's empty, it doesn't have anything on it. I do want to back up all of my documents onto here though, so I'll right click on Documents and say Open in New Window. And I'll use the Snap feature to be able to view both of these locations side by side. So I'll click on the title bar for our Documents window, drag it all the way to the left hand side and let go. And then click on the other window here on the right hand side to make that fill up the space. Now I want to be sure that I've got enough space on the flash drive to be able to fit all these documents onto there. So I'll right click on Documents here, click on Properties, and I see that this takes up about 29 megabytes. I know that my flash drive has a lot more space than that, so I know I'm good to copy these over to the flash drive. I'm going to click in the Documents window to make sure that's selected. And then I'm going to Control A on the keyboard to select all of those files. Now I can click and drag on any one of those files. This time instead of Move To, you'll see Copy To. So anytime you are using two different locations, so your computer versus a removable storage, it's going to copy instead of move. And we saw move before because we were working with locations on the computer itself. So that's a difference to keep in mind when you are moving files around. Those do two different things. I'm going to try to drag one thing over just to show you what happens when you move a file that is already on that other location. It says the destination already has a file named that, and I can replace it, I can skip this file, or I can compare info for both files just to see which is the most recent. So I see here that this one is more recent, so I can click on that to choose it and say continue. Now when it comes to deleting your documents, when you delete documents on your flash drive, let's see what happens. So I'm going to select all the documents on the flash drive here, Control A, and then I'm going to come up here and click on delete. A message comes up, are you sure you want to permanently delete these 24 items? So when you delete something off of your flash drive, it permanently deletes it. So you really want to be sure that you don't need that file on there anymore. I'm going to say yes because I do have these on my computer. However, if we were to come over here to the Documents folder and delete something from the computer here, it just removes it. It doesn't ask us that question. So what happens on the computer, instead of deleting it right out, when you delete something, it puts it into your recycle bin. I'm going to open the recycle bin just to show that. So I see that file is here. Now if I wanted to get rid of it permanently, I would empty it. And then that's when it asks the question, are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? I'm going to say no and choose to restore it. Again, it asks if I'm sure, but I do want to restore it back to the location it was in before. Now if I go over to Documents, I see that that has been returned to Documents where it was before we deleted it. So to recap, when you delete something from a flash drive, it is gone forever. When you delete something from your computer, it will send it to the recycle bin, so you have the option to either delete it permanently or restore it if you change your mind. So we've covered everything for today. One last thing to be sure you do, whenever you remove a flash drive from your computer, you don't want to just yank it out. You want to come over here to the navigation pane, right click on that USB drive, and we want to eject it just to be sure that it doesn't lose anything. And this lets you safely remove it. So as soon as you don't see that listed in the navigation pane anymore, you can then pull it out of your computer.